Everyone, welcome back to Money Talks. And as we said in the prior video, now we're going to talk about the cons of buying a brand new house. So, in the last video, if I'm not mistaken, I said 7 different pros, in my opinion, of buying a new house. Now we're going to do the exact same opposite and say 7 of what, in my opinion, are the cons of buying a brand new home. So, with no more to say, let's start with number one. This one is, I think, one of the most challenging ones for anyone buying a new house, and it's you meet with the lender, you see the model home they have, you've agreed on the whatever name is for the blueprint that you're going to be doing. You've agreed to the way that you're going to custom build your house or do here, there, the quartz, the all that stuff. After you consider all of that and you're in love with that house, now it's construction time. So this is the very first thing that for me, it's a con. With construction, we don't know what Mother Nature is gonna do. So if there's a day that's super heavy rain and we don't have people that are working, guess what? You're going to have construction delays. So this is the number one, and I would say more than just construction delays, the timelines. I'm going to tell you this not from personal experience, but from other people that I know near my sphere of influence. That any timeline that they're giving you, add 2 to 3 more months. Now, yes, you're gonna say that's too much time. Like that's not realistic. And hear me out. I listen to you. You're right. It's too much time. But that is just to put you on the worst case scenario. You could be looking at maybe 2 to 3 weeks of delay, maybe not 2 to 3 months, but this puts your mind at okay, what could be the worst thing that can happen? I don't know. We have a max exodus of construction workers for that specific company, and they have to rehire, and I don't know, like the range just doesn't stop for a whole month. I don't know, something along those lines. And then that home that you were expecting to move in by January the 1st of this upcoming year turns out to be you're moving in at the end of March. And, you know, life doesn't stop. Maybe you are in a lease, or maybe you're trying to sell your own home. And because of these delays, other things get delayed as well. Or maybe you have to look for a new home temporarily. Million things can happen. So for me, the timelines and the delays are going to be the number one thing that drives me personally away from the idea of buying a new home. Now, again, we've talked about all the good things. Now it's time to talk about all the bad things. So, number one, you've got it. Number two, premium pricing and add ons. This is what happens. You walk into the model home, and you see all of this amazing, gorgeous, beautiful thing. Well, if you want that patio, it's gonna be $2,000 more. If you want to keep the appliances, it's gonna be $5,000 more. If you want this kind of quart, it's gonna be $1,000 more. If you want this type of paint, this type XYZ and all that stuff. So that house that originally you had in mind for, let's say, 300,000 goes all the way to 350,000 after you customized everything and you put it right to where you wanted it. But guess what? That is just part of the deal. That is part of what it comes to buying a new home. So again, there's a lot of things that you can add into this. I mean, you can talk about sprinklers. You can talk about maybe the fences, blinds. Upgrade some really good blinds, or maybe those curtains like linen or silk. All that stuff. You're making your dream home. So guess what? You're paying for that dream home. So that is my reason number two. Yes, you may see that price. That's not really what you're getting. The model home, it's always that hook so that you could see yourself and envision yourself in that house. Once you're on the hook, then, well, what is 5,000 here and 2,000? Well, we're not going to talk way too much into detail on this. Reason number 3. This could vary. There's sometimes that it doesn't happen, but I've seen it happen plenty often. Depends on the city, but when you have a really small lot and there's not a lot of spacing for the house, I mean, you're typically going to see a two, yeah, you're probably going to see a two-story building in there, but everything's crammed up. And then you might be losing the opportunity of having a large backyard, or maybe having some trees, nature, things to do in that house. Again, this might not apply to everything. This is just what, for me, it's kind of like, I don't know. I'll think about it twice. I'll think about it 3 times. I'll come back to you later on that. So it depends, again, city by city. I'm not saying this is gonna happen everywhere, because I've seen homes that then you have 5 acres and then a 5,000 square foot house. Then yes, you have a lot of space. But that could also be a little bit challenging when you have too much space. Anyways, let's just say the reasoning is small dash big lots or spaces. It could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing, depending on the person, right? But that's my opinion. Reason number 4, ongoing construction noise. So let's just assume you said, you know what, I'm going with this, I'm buying it, your house is ready. But guess what? There's still 100 more houses that need to get built. Those special cancel noise earphones, they might need to be used all day. And I don't know if you're comfortable with that. So, when you buy in early into a new neighborhood, that is something that you should expect. I mean, yes, you're making the house your ideal home. But guess what? Another 100 families are trying to get their ideal home. So you're going to be, and take for granted, there's time frames in which they can't work per law. But over the working day, you're going to be hearing it if you're home. So, with that being said, I mean, other than the noise, you may also have like anything that they're using. Maybe they're having a lot of pallets on the floor, and the cars get obstructed because there's only a one lane right now, and there's traffic from one side and traffic from the other side, but there's just one little space in which one car goes through, and then someone decided to park over here, so it just makes it a little bit hard for you to reach your destination. um, Reason number 4, that's what I would say. Construction noise, all that stuff. Reason number 5. This one is challenging because not every new neighborhood has it, but if that neighborhood has it, I would really, really look into details of the pros and cons of just this particular reason, and which is HOA. And if we don't want to talk about HOA, we can talk about regulations. You know, every city has different regulations. There's some cities that need a specific space for your sidewalk. There are specific cities that if you don't build a garage, you have to build like some sort, like, every city is different. And I could make a 1 hour video about specific cities that the requirements are a little bit different or special, if you want to call it that way. Nonetheless, what we were going to talk about here, it's HOAs and the restrictions. So some HOAs have a lot of different restrictions, and you could be looking at investment HOAs, meaning you can't put an Airbnb in there, or maybe no investors can buy into that HOA. So maybe that takes a little bit of the people out of there. Again, we're talking about your perfect home, so I don't think investors really come into place in here, but we're still gonna add it in there. There's a lot more stuff that HOAs regulate. Like, it could be, well, again, you've got to look into all the HOA stuff and what they do and what they say. But regardless of that, restrictions is the most important thing. Maybe in that neighborhood you can't put a manufactured home, or maybe you have to build higher on the ground because it's part of a flood zone, or I don't know. There's a lot of different things that comes with new neighborhoods that they may restrict on, and down the line may become a little bit more lax. But at the beginning, they're gonna have a sacred book of things that you cannot do, and thus HOAs are, something that you really want to read the fine print. With that being said, well, and not to say anything back, because I'm not trying to say that HOAs are bad. Actually, I like HOAs because they keep the neighborhood pretty tidy. So it's really good when you have someone that's making sure that everyone is contributing to the beauty of the neighborhood. But that's my take on HOAs. Reason number 6, and I guess this will translate a little bit to reason number 5, and this would be the fact that sometimes new neighborhoods feel, how to say it in good words, they feel the same. They feel boring. Now, what do I use these words for? They're so clean, they're so tidy. Every single one of them looks really similar, if not the same. So there's no identity, there's no differential on any of the houses. So although it could be a positive thing, if you ask me, I love that. Like, just looking at everything being so nice and organized and clean. And I personally like that a lot. Like, sorry, I'm looking at the outside. I'm literally looking at that right now. It's like all of them are the exact same. And it looks so nice. So for me, that's something I actually like. But I know that for some people, having that difference or showing that they're different, it's something unique about their houses. So at the beginning, it really feels monotonous. It feels that way. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But anyways, that is reason number 6. And the one that I'm going to end up with, and this is something that I really want to keep myself out because, as you will probably know, or maybe you don't know, and if you don't know, you could do some research on this. But reason number 7 will be the property taxes and assessment surprises. So when a new house is built, let's say it's built in today's year, which is 2025, sometimes, and only sometimes, when the process of closing it's happening, they're using taxes based of a lot that is not improved, that it doesn't have a building on it. So the taxes may be lower on the payment, and therefore 1 year later, when it gets reassessed, there comes a big surprise to that person, because you know what, this could be a good video for a different time. I'll think about doing this video. But anyway, what it's important about this is your payment could jump from, let's say if you're paying $1,000, it's just an example because I don't think there's a new build anywhere that's $1,000. But let's just say that your payment's $1,000. And if this scenario happened in which the taxes of a lot unimproved were used for the closing, then from 1,000 you could jump to $2,000 on payment from 1 year to the other. And here's where the problem becomes. You know what I said, I hope you know about this, or if not, do some research. Look at what's happening with Florida. I don't remember the new builder. I think it's Lennar. I'm not 100% sure. I forgot who they are. But someone's getting sued in Florida because of this particular scenario, in which a lot of homeowners now have doubled their payment within a year. And the issue is that when the houses were sold, they were accounting for lower taxes. So when the real taxes, I don't want to say real taxes, they've always been those taxes, but when the assessed taxes are coming due, then escrow has to rebalance and you have to pay the deficit that you haven't paid. Therefore, the price just skyrockets. I know it was a lot. So to make this as simple as possible, It's when you're buying a new home from year one to probably year three, sometimes even all the way to year four, you may find a little bit of surprises. If you look at the value of a property from, let's say, right now it's 2025, let's say it was built in 2023, that would mean about 3 years worth of years of time, obviously. Um, when you look at these 3 years, and this is just an example per se, you may have had a value of, let's say, 100,000 in 2023, and then it jumped to 220,000 for year 2024, and then it jumps to 280,000 on 2025. Well, the reason why this is happening is there's assessments happening every year, and maybe because your property in 2023 was built along other properties along that range, that is the value that it's been assessed for. But then now there's newer builds and they're more costly than what yours was. So then your property gained value because of the other properties that surrounded. Anyways, I don't want to make this video a 100-minute video for this reason. But that would be my reason number 7, all those surprises that you can have when it comes out to a brand new home. So when you're buying a brand new home, you really, really have to sit down and prepare again for the worst. One, with the timing, because there's going to be a lot of delays, or, well, I hope no one has delays, but it's inevitable. Delays happen. So let's do a small recap to finish this video. We have reason number 1 being the delays that could possibly happen, timelines that there might not be as accurate as possible, all those premium added things that you would probably want to make it the house that you're dreaming of, the small dash long or big, whatever you want to call it, lots. It could be a good or a bad thing. All that noise and all those tight spaces that you're gonna have as they're building, and those restrictions that you can have, and I think that's everything. So again, those are my personal reasons. That's my opinion of the things that for me are cons of why I wouldn't want to buy a brand new build. But I would be a double-faced person if I would say I wouldn't buy a new build. So I want to make this video as a perspective from both sides. I've already given the 7 reasons why I would. These are the 7 reasons I wouldn't. So then at this point, it's just balancing and seeing which one has more weight than the other. So then you can take your decision and say, okay, the cons are, more, so I'm not going to buy. Or, well, the pros are more, so you know what, I'm going to pull the trigger. But again, this is all personal choice that you may have for that. Thank you very much for coming to this video. If you found this helpful, please hit that like and subscribe. Any other things that you yourself will think are good reasons of why not to buy, make sure you put those in the comments and we'll talk in the comments.